Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. We'd like to welcome you to yet another edition of our weekly press briefing here at the foyer of the Executive Mansion. Today is Friday, September 5th, the year the President, continuing the working for the Liberian people. We've informed that he continues to work in the interest of the Liberian people and other Liberians who are qualified to help with the implementation of the arrest agenda, continuing with the Ministry of Internal Affairs. There were a number of appointments over there, as well as the Governance Commission. And those appointments were all in the interest of ensuring that those who come to government are coming with the interest of serving. During the course of the week, something that the President is very excited about, especially in relation to the groundbreaking ceremony of the two overhead pass bridges that will be constructed, or that is ongoing as we speak, by the government and people of the People's Republic of China. This intervention, as you all know, started long ago, and during the reign of President Charlie. At the time, our current president was the vice president. And part of the construction of the ministerial complex, the overhead pass should have been constructed. However, due to challenges, but it took quite a while. After the elections of our president, he did visit China, but prior to the visit, he did write the Chinese president and inform him of his presidency and his elections to office, and really looking forward to re-engagement on our bilateral relations and righting the wrong of some things that happened in the past. And then the Chinese President Xi, was also able to write our president communication extending his congratulations. So that was the beginning of re-looking at some of the projects that the government and people of China, the People's Republic of China, were undertaking. And this bridge process was also discussed lengthily, along with a number of other projects that they're helping Liberia with, such as the project of the construction of the expansion project of the Liberian broadcasting system, and other well-meaning projects, including building a facility for our health sector. So during the course of the week, the President did break ground along with the ambassador, and the President was excited, but most importantly, he's looking forward to not just the beginning of the project, but its completion, where he will be able to show to the Liberian people that the engagement he's had over the years, they're all coming to fruition. And for the President, he really sees this as an opportunity for Liberians. Besides the construction, even the creation of jobs, not just the possibility of easing traffic congestion in the Konga Town area, but also creating jobs, or also improving the economy, because this will even help to increase property values along the corridor, but also bringing utilities and expansion of road. And these are things the President is looking forward to doing more across the country. And as I've mentioned, the President has been quite busy. And as you can recall, on July 26th, when he spoke to the country during the Independence Day celebration, he just set up a committee headed by the Vice President. And that committee was to review the pricing of local commodities on the market, and to show the challenges, especially with the contradiction, because if the government is reducing tariffs for certain commodities, the expectation is that the end users, the regular purchaser, the community people, our mothers and families, are able to have access to a reduced price in the market. So the Vice President and his team went to work daily, regularly, updating on the status of that since the formation of the committee. The President just announced, based upon the recommendation, and let me let all of you know that it is an ongoing work. The work is not done yet. It is an ongoing process and project that is happening simultaneously. So as the committee works and they make inroad in the different sectors, whether it's rice, whether it's flour, eggs, and other commodities, they are looking at major commodities by commodities with a connection to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Ministry of Finance, Development Planning, the Central Bank of Liberia, and all key sectors who are members of the economic management team. So the committee have worked and recommended a reduction of prices for rice, eggs, and flour. And that's why you saw the announcement that was made. But I just like to address it because we've heard a number of different questions or comments as relates to how the president is deriving at these things in the different arguments. The president believes that some of the arguments are legit, are important, because with these issues, it means that the people are listening and the people want to know the sustainability of this. But this is something that is done not exclusively of the different importers or even end users. In the room, I can let you know that importers play a paramount role of the decisions. Decisions are not imposed upon the importers or even the providers, those who are bringing in those commodities or even producing those commodities. It's not imposed, it's conversation and issues relating to the price drivers, things that are making the prices the way they are, they're discussed collectively, and they're looked at different scenarios. Also, it's not just exclusive to Liberia. For those of us who are not people of economic background or who are not economists, it will interest you to know that different things happen and what, especially for commodities that we do not produce in commercial quantities. For example, rice. Yes, majority of our rice comes from outside importation. So there are global markets, there are countries who are producing rice, and the importers buy the rice from those people. But there are global drivers to the decisions of pricing, of how to buy it in the bulk. So before a decision or a discussion is held or a conversation on reduction of pricing, a lot is taken into consideration. So I like to ease the tension of the people who may believe or who may think that the decision of the president is arbitrary, or the decision of the president is quote-unquote military in nature. No, it is not. The decision of the president is in consultation with the importers, the people who are importing and producing these commodities. And you will see that a lot, because it's also taking into consideration the regional reality. Similar commodities, how are they sold, for example, in Sierra Leone, in Guinea, in Nigeria, in Ghana, but also internationally on the different markets that importers and producers are buying their commodities from. So, for example, if it's in India, if it's in China, if it's in the other places, reviews are made and seeing how, what is informing the people, in that area. So just to allay the fear of people who think that the president's issue or the president's comment or decision or mandate of reducing prices is arbitrary. No, it's not. Also, in terms of the retail prices, so what the committee does, the committee discusses with the importers and look at in detail the price drivers and other factors leading to the current pricing structure and recommendation of further reduction, but also on the level of retail, especially those of the comments and questions around the cost of retail of the different commodities that have been talked about. So the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, who is in charge of really regulating our market and seeing, what they can do to doing that. So they are now responsible to, get back to the team and come up with the retail pricing. So the committee work with the wholesaler, talk about how you can do that, because with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, they have the requisite infrastructure to be able to let you know, for example, price of a bag of rice at a retail level from one point to the other, because before they set prices on commodities, they take a number of factors into consideration. So those detailed level of retail pricing, places, communities, so for example, counties and whatnot, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry already has the infrastructure to ensure that happens. So I thought to address these issues. And I would like to again re-emphasize that the ongoing process is an active one. Is going to be looked at in different sectors, different commodities, different items. The goal is from the President to ensure that before the end of this administration, that the livelihood of our people is really on course. And the reason why the President is upbeat about this initiative and other future initiatives is that for a long time, sometimes it's challenging where you have unregulated activities within the market. People decide what pricing to do, but this is not just from the presidency. It's inclusive of the importers and even the retailers where the need be. So we just like to let all of our people know that the President knows what he's doing, the country is in the right hands, and he trusts the Vice President to lead this initiative, and the results are coming. You will also see issues in the sugar, for example, issue in the frozen food, and just name it. There are a lot of different commodities that the team is working on to ensure that the prices are reduced and our people are able to afford. So earlier this morning, we actually that's why we are starting this time. The President had a cabinet meeting that just concluded, and this cabinet meeting is the second part of the previous cabinet meeting that was had earlier or somewhere last month, the last cabinet meeting before this one. So some of the conversations need to have regular cabinet meetings and bring the people in the room. So including the Minister of Finance, Development, Planning and his team, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Liberia Revenue Authority, and those who are involved with that sector. The high prospect that we do have good budget performance or a very good outlook of the economy, that we're doing well. We may not be perfect, we've not reached 100%, but the prospect is huge, and there's an allowance of positive energy when it comes to the economy. And very soon, Liberians will see, as our President always likes to see, the trickle-down effect on the individual household. And right now, there's a strategic conversation around preparation for the next year budget, and giving some update on the implementation of the AID, where the country stands, and what prospects there are, and where the challenges, of course, are. I mean, one of the major challenges with the conversation, some of them are still preliminary. It is the level of debt. Liberia is in debt, and interestingly, we're still paying debt from the 80s. Imagine 1980s, and but there are plans with the President in charge leading this to show that we have a strategic conversation on how to have a PowerPoint and what needs to happen. Also, there are updates from the road fund. There are good prospects as to generating resources, but also obviously the challenges and their plans to ensure that they work with the technical team in improving access on feeder roads and contribution to the road project institutions that also are in debt to the road fund. There are some interest of ensuring that they pay what they owe. Also on the international financial side, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning team gave us some hope about the active nature of the MCC. I'm sure this was something that most of you were interested in as to where we stand with the Millennium Challenge operation. When the government took over, things went well. President did meet Madam Albright, and a lot of active conversations were happening. And then he received a call and say that they're looking at Liberia to see the possibilities. And then when the new administration came in, the new administration halted some projects. The new United States administration, that I mean, halted some projects to review what's happening, including USAID, MCC was also part, and a lot of other things. Now that the administration has gotten its foot a little bit wet or its feet wet, there is a need now that the conversation is active as to Liberia's consideration. The consideration part is that MCC is sending in a team here in Liberia to come, team of economists, to be able to sit with our economic management team. They've been meeting regularly on Zoom and other means, communicating back and forth. So the reason why this is important to let you know is that that conversation has now died. Our government is engaged. The president, economic management team, is actively engaging with the team with the hope that upon all of the review, Liberia can be qualified to receive support for a different project that she intends to do. And we also had presentations from the mobilizing also resources, especially looking at the international markets and getting some funding and support for the country. And that presentation really laid basis for how we are able to tap into opportunities for financial support, but also open the country for resource mobilization from the international side. The President is excited so far as to the outcome and the current status of the cabinet and what his team is doing in that. And he really laid out the important part for him, especially the everyday thing. He has emphasized, especially to his cabinet members, that his interest is cabinet members to do their work and not listening to some of the regular conversation that people will say. And the good thing about the president, he appreciates people's interest in what the government is doing, which is very important. This shows that the country is moving, especially so that you have people engaged in conversation, engaged with him to see what we are doing. But another positive outcome of the cabinet meeting today is to let all of you know, the Liberian people, that since the inception of this government, the government have not credited any resources to pay salaries. This was something that wasn't true for the past administration, but for this administration, there have not been any indebtedness just for us to be able to pay salary. And this is something that the President is excited about and looking forward to seeing how we can raise the revenue generating arm. And from the revenue side, LRA team did a presentation that we've done well. We've raised the projection, is go far beyond what was projected for the year to be able to raise the revenue. So, I mean, what this means for people who will be listening, our mothers, our uncles, so all the kind of things you're talking about, what it means. It means that the government is trying, that we have not done badly in many aspects. Yes, everything is not perfect, but things are moving. People can go to River Sands and River G and Ganta, well, Ganta is paved, but up to Benjiga and other places during the rains and come back, and we're not doing so bad. Our project and prospect is high. So the president wants me to let him know that he's committed to doing his best to putting the country on its right footing. The president has appointed the Board of Trustees of the Grand Bassa University, and those members of the Board of Trustees include Madam Lortina Bass, who's going to chair the Board of Trustees and representing the visitor, that is the visitor, she's the president, Minister Dr. Jaso Jala, an ex-official, by actual fact that she is the Minister of Education, Senator Yongli Kanga Lawrence representing the Senate, Honorable Alfred Fomo representing the House of Representatives, Mr. Tari Wolokoi Yega from district number 1, Mr. James Now from district number 2, Brent Bassa, all of Brent Bassa, Mr. John D.S. Davis III from electoral district number 3, Mr. Alpha Ba representing the business community, Asilo Natal Liberia representing the business community, President of the Alumni Association of Brent Bassa University, National Commission on Higher Education representing higher education, Reverend Dr. Samuel B. Reed Jr., Secretary, is also the President of the Board. And I'm also informing you that other members of the Board will be announced subsequently. Having said that, our President this year actually has been a lot of good things have been happening for Liberia. Yes, Liberia got elected to the non-permanent seat of the United Nations, and the President is hosting Liberia's first Diaspora conference for the administration. It's going to be happening in Washington, D.C. on the march of the UNGA. The President will also be attending the General Assembly. So based on these different activities that's happening this year along the lines of the UN General Assembly, His Excellency will leave the country on Monday, September 8, 2025 for the United States of America and return to Liberia September 29th. And he's leaving to represent Liberia, but also in preparation of the first Liberia Diaspora Conference. And for him, this Diaspora Conference is really to engage the Liberian community. For a long time, Liberians in the diaspora have contributed to the economic fabric of our country, supporting their families and being engaged, doing businesses and all of that. But to really be able to consolidate strategically where the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of impact, to consolidate it. Because for time past, the different interventions have been individually driven. An organization will come and do some interventions here, group of Liberians will come and do intervention here, different associations have been doing individual interventions. Even individuals themselves will come and do individual investments in different activities. So what this Diaspora Conference is looking forward to doing is to consolidate Liberia's activities, see where we are Liberians in not just the United States diaspora or the Western diaspora, but even in Africa. Liberians, and one of the things that the President has consistently done in all of his visits, when he visits different countries, he meets the Liberian community there to be able to let them know that we're doing this. And whatever knowledge you have, whatever support you can give, however you can be connected back home, we want you to contribute and be here in Liberia. So the President will do that, and he will leave and really engage the community to do a number of different things. So we'll stop here for now. Should you have further questions and comments, we look forward to taking your comments and concerns. Thank you so much, and good afternoon. As always, you will call your name, the institution you represent, and give your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, my name is Maurice Colletti, and I report for OKF. Thank you, Madam PBS, for your deliberation. Two quick issues. One of them is you talk about the Ministry of Finance talking about a little bit performance of the economy and the budget, all of that. I want to know whether the committee or the meeting was able to capture the issue of the increase in the U.S. rate and all of that. And moving forward, what do we expect to see in the coming days and all of that? The second one is that was the meeting able to capture concerns raised by the University of Liberia, because I know yesterday they appeared before the Senate Committee on Education. Thank you.
I think it's just a follow-up to that question from the University of Liberia, if the President has received the information about 8 million projected from the UL before the reopening on the end of the teachers with the president, and how serious is he going to take that particular issue? And 2, if you have, would you release the names of delegates ahead of the conference? Thank you. I'm Julius Compton from Fortin.
Okay, my PBS and Dr. Badu Kwanzaa from Reposto 31 Media Network. Please, can you please give us some key highlights from the test in the cabinet meeting? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Regan S. Levy, and I report for the Liberia News Agency on the Regulation of Information. Madam PBS, thank you for your deliberation. Did the President and his cabinet minister take into consideration the recent protestation that have been going on since last month from the Hamburg drivers staging protests against the Liberia Transport Management, where they calling on the President to intervene? Is the President and his administration or cabinet ministers are taking into consideration their cost? 2, Madam PBS, since your ascendancy to the position, you have been very instrumental when it comes to people who are assigned here travel with the President. Are you also considering members that are assigned in your office, most especially when it comes to the UNGA conference in the United States? Thank you so much.
I didn't get the last part of the question. Members of my office?
I mean, reporters who are assigned at the executive mansion covering the presidency, are they apparent that we, some members that are assigned here who with the president to do some coverage? That's the question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I will endeavor to answer the first batch of questions, and then if there are additional ones, we will go from there. I will start with the last question. As to the president's travel and whether or not journalists will accompany the president, especially asking for the executive mansion, members of the executive mansion press corps. As you know, since this government got into office, we've tried our best to submit the list and connect with the team that's in charge of the president's travel of some of you, and I can say up to date, around 5 or 6 of you have traveled to the president on international visits, and I know even the president's first U.S. visit, one of the journalists from yourself attended and went along with the president. I'd like to thank His Excellency and the team for really always ensuring that we tried our best to get the support. However, it's been a challenging thing with with showing your continuous participation. But the other thing I wanted to let you all know was that sometimes we do submit, especially in relation to U.S. visits, traveling to the United States is not as easy as other places. And I do remember that a member of your team was invited to the UNGA last year. Unfortunately, that person was denied visa, and I just will just keep the information as I've stated. So sometimes when it comes to visa and other activities, our work part is limited. We do our best to submit names and with not any special preference, but as we see, where there is a possibility. So even this one is tried as well to submit names, and the decision as to resources, that the availability of resources to having one of you accompany the president is not with us, because we ourselves don't have resources by ourselves. We operate with the executive function. So based on the executive function, we make the case to say this is the list from our office, and we hope that these people get considered. So they looked at the list and we said, we will be able to do just 1 or 2, So, but let's hope also for this visit, we've also submitted names names of members of the Executive Commission Press Corps, and I'm not going to state here who is on the list, who's not, because it's U.S. visit. We pray that everybody who submitted will get the visa and be able to accompany His Excellency. But again, I mean, our part is limited to who the U.S. government gives visa or who they don't, but we'll do our best to ensure that happens. But more importantly, one of the things that I'm looking forward to really doing is something that we've not been able to do. Yes, we did the engagement with the President during the dinner when this administration brought the President together. But I'm working with the team internally to see how there can be an exclusive engagement between the Executive National Press Corps and the President. We've spoken about that. The President and I, whenever you guys are ready. But that part is the scheduling with the Secretariat, the President Secretariat. That's where our powers is limited. But we're doing our best. Because for me, it's not just these things, but it's more a relations building between the press corps, independent press corps, and the presidency. Because if you cover the president, you go with him locally, you go in the counties, do all of these things. It's important that there's that particular interest. Because trust me, I mean, even our last conversation, he was asking, particularly for some of you individual members, this person there, I always see this person asking me questions, and who are these, and I will always give him some background information as to what you all do, where you work, and all of that. So we will continue to do that. As to the recent protestation, I mean, again, this issue of Liberia transport management, it was also discussed in cabinet. The vice president has some strong views and discussed, and the team also the president is looking into seeing what the issues are and bringing everybody again on the table to have a conversation on it. I wouldn't tell you the specifics of those, but I can tell you that it's not off the agenda. It's something that's been considered and spoken about, especially when it comes to the issue of disagreements and disenchantment with individuals. As to the key highlights of the cabinet, I think I did speak about the discussions and some of the agreements and discussions that have been had for the entire day with the president. But I think the key highlight for me is about not necessarily satisfaction, but the status of the economy, especially with the prospects of things getting in all the different sectors, and the political will and commitment for the president and how he tends to make those things happen. And he's upbeat, calling on his cabinet members, he's upbeat on putting the country in a place where Liberians will be excited. It is not just temporal or temporary, as one may say, or arbitrary, especially on the pricing reduction. The VP and his team, they're really working very hard on discussing, bringing all of the issues on the table. Because for the most part, some of the issues and the pricing or the quote-unquote poverty rate and stuff, they may be artificial. Meaning self-made or man-made. So those things have been, many internal conversations have been happening with our financial team, the economic management team, all these things, the loopholes, where we need to close. And I'm really excited at this time. Yes, it may be challenging at times, but by end of next year, beginning, you will see some great changes on all fronts according to our economic team. Let me just, because the prospect is high, the president himself is upbeat, and many things are coming around. On the issue of the names of delegates, as we edge closer to, because what's going to be happening, there will be the president's team, a very small team for the president will meet on Monday. And the rest of the others will join in later. So as that time we'll give you update as to the entirety, and we'll specifically state, and then that communication will be sent to you all as our regular press release. On the issue of the 8 million projected, I didn't quite get this question. Someone asked about the instructors. Yeah, on the University of Liberia, right. Okay, so the issue of the University of Liberia, actually, this question is important because the GSC did come up with some report and it was talked about the audits, we spoke about it, but also, particularly on the University of Liberia, is discussed because some spendings, especially what has happened with our financial thinking, some spendings are not always budgeted for. Some things may not be seen. So when you hear of budget spending, some things happen and you have this planned fiscal year, you have these specific things that you intend to do for this particular period. Or some things happen that you didn't plan for. So you have to do some adjustments and readjustments so that you're able to take into consideration this part. And that is exactly what's happening in the Ministry of Finance team. They're working really hard on that. So, yes, the President is informed and is aware. But one of the other things that the University of Liberia has said is that they need 500,000 to be able to start classes on the 8th of September. And the University of Liberia, the President, is looking forward to having the Ministry of Finance and the planning team looking at that seriously so that the school can reopen and that. But the President does have an active team here, headed by Dr. Connor, who is his representative at the University of Liberia, taking this regular updates as to the status of different things happening there. And I can tell you that absolutely he will the university will be open soon, and the government and the President is committed to ensuring that happens. I think so far those were your questions. Is there any more?
U.S. rate.
Oh yes, you did ask about the U.S. rate. And some other question you didn't ask us, so I just want to put both of them together.
Yeah, and also the U.S., the UL, there were concern raised yesterday at the Senate. I think you already answered that.
Okay. Yeah. So on the U.S. rate, you said they're increasing because one of the other reports that we've received, especially with the finance is that the rate is actually reducing. The rate is dropping. So it's not increasing, it's actually dropping. I think even me, I changed, I think yesterday, the rate was somewhere around 190, 189 or some places, and they're dropping. I do not currently know the CDR rate, but the regular market rate, we've seen a reduction in those. So, but one thing on your question, the important part is the activeness of the CDR. So CDR is part of this team that the VP and others is working on. And one of the other drivers, as you know, the drivers of pricing on our market is the rate. And the team is interested in showing that they study on the further reduction of the rate. Because you can reduce price of rice, you can reduce fuel, you can reduce other things. But if you do not reduce the rate, if the rate is not lower, it becomes difficult. So the pricing, so one of the key things is to ensure that the price reduces. The rate reduces. But that again is not an individual thing. It's not just a country can ask and say, we'll just drop the rate. The financial sector doesn't work that way. There are several factors that come in with the rate. Production, imports, global market, global issues, global pricing, different things that feed into the rate structures and so. But the goal of this whole conversation is that the government, the president, is interested in a safe system, a system that will show that the country is put in a place where everybody understands and people know that prices will be reduced and commodities are available, that will not have issues of people clamoring to buy rice or to buy fuel or hiking of prices on the market by importers. That importers alone will not be the decider of different things that happen in the country. That for him is the most important. So thank you all so much, and it's a pleasure having all of you. And you have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we see you when we see you. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was the voice of the President Secretary Anthony Kula. Yeah, Fofana, they are making statements here at our regular press briefing. On behalf of the team here at the Executive Mansion, thank you for following. I'm here at Controls, supported by the team, beloved family,